Hello. Before we start today's episode, if you would like a condensed version of what I'm talking about in this podcast, go ahead and subscribe to The Perfectionist Guide. You can read the entire thing in 3 minutes or less. To access this, go to CourtneyLoveGavin.com/newsletter. Are you a bit of a perfectionist, type A, hyper performer? Then you know that having the audacity to see an ideal and bring it into reality while breaking generational habits of hustle can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. If you are ready to burn bright instead of burning out, to lead without losing yourself, and to enjoy the life you have worked so hard to create, then keep listening. I'm your host, America's leader on rewiring perfectionism, CLG, and this is Perfectionism Rewired, the podcast. Welcome to Perfectionism Rewired, episode number 95. Today's episode is not only empowering and inspiring, it is downright amazing. You are going to be hearing from my private client, Margot, as she shares her story of transformation. She busted out her old notebooks and journals from before we decided to start coaching together and is such a beautiful example of what confident vulnerability looks like. And everything that you wonder about that is I don't know, can I say that? We say it on today's episode. In fact, it is so good that this is part 1 of 2. I love working with my private clients the most. Margot is such an example of the person that is willing to bet on themselves, decided I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it. She didn't want to do another thing and still be the same. And she has completely transformed. I know that we say transformation a lot. And in fact, it's the internal that has led to the external. And on the next episode, part 2, I'm going to be sharing with you all of the amazing external transformations that Margot has made. In Margot's pursuit of up-leveling her thinking, you will hear how Margot discovered her secret weapon, self-acceptance and compassion. And the biggest realization of knowing that however she wants to show up in the world, she can. She gets to choose who she is and love who she is. And pretties, that is how we create emotional safety within to be ourselves. And if you have a habit of getting in your own way or beating yourself up in your head or people pleasing or just sort of feel I want to be taking up more space, I want to invite you to book an application call with me right now. Get on my calendar. This episode is jam-packed with so much wisdom and so much tangible insight. So let's dive in to part 1 of my conversation with the marvelous Margot. Margot, let's go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. I sound just like Hillary Duff.
You do.
Don't I? Yeah, maybe I should just transition into singing. You are on your 3rd season of us coaching together. Going back to the beginning, I think that the hardest part in hiring coaches, seeking support in some way, it's having that courage to take that first step.
The beginning and the first step for me was kind of being more active with it, because before I reached out, I had a number of podcasts I'd listened to, and then I discovered your podcast from social media and I started listening to it, and I listened to all of them. And then I went to your website and I was like, I don't know. And then, maybe, I don't know. But then finally being like, okay, I'm going to fill out this form. That was the tough part for me to actually push through. In preparation for this call, I went back through my old notebook to reconnect with who I was. It's almost like you forget how far you've come. So I just remember thinking that I don't think I can really do that. It's going to be tough. And then, this is for other people. This is for people who are worse than me. Just a bunch of those thoughts that kept me from reaching out of my comfort zone. I struggle, and I still work on it, with being new and beginning things and feeling like, I don't know where this is going to go. the uncertainty of feeling like, well, what if this doesn't work? That was a big thought I kept having because I just felt all the time like, I'm not sure I'm supposed to feel this way. Thinking about me at that time, I was so paralyzed by fear and indecision all the time. Always like, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right choices? Is this the thing? And just feeling like there is something for me out there and there's something I'm supposed to be doing and there's a person I'm supposed to be. And this isn't how my life is supposed to be, but not knowing what to do. And then also feeling like, well, maybe this is just how it is. And maybe you just need to learn to be happy because you have all these great things in your life. And what's wrong with you, Margot, that you cannot just be happy? And I kept thinking, no, there's something that's not right. I was thinking about the coaching. I thought, what if this doesn't work and I'm just doomed forever? And then I thought, nope, taking the risk, taking the jump. And I think I went to your website 3 times before I actually booked.
Margot actually sent me an email because there was an issue with my website, like the formatting where the form was. And I think maybe even sent like a screenshot or something.
Oh, I probably did.
And it was such a polite note. And it was like, hey, so I've been trying to do this, but I can't get to the bottom to like actually like enter it. And then I think because you sent an attachment and we hadn't emailed before, my inbox put it in spam or like promotion. So I didn't see it until a time later. Looking back on past Margot, it's like you finally get up the courage and like the fucking thing doesn't even work. I'm surprised that your brain at the time didn't take that as a sign of like, oh, it's not meant to be.
I was just like, well, what do I do? And then by that point I had decided like, no, I'm going to be doing this. In some ways though, I had to fill out the forms like 2 or 3 times. So I kept having to re-answer the question, why are you here today? And what do you want to talk about? What do you hope to gain? And I think I filled them out a little differently each time, but it was a good exercise because by the time I talked to you, I was probably a lot more refined.
You mentioned, what if this doesn't work? That's something our brains naturally like feed us. Have you tried things in the past before that didn't work? So that was like a fear going into this?
I've done a lot of therapy in the past and therapy was helpful. It took a long time to accomplish some things in therapy. Life coaching was new. Coaching was a new concept for me. I listened back to the podcast on the difference between coaching and therapy. And I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Also, for me, just to be perfectly honest, what was holding me back at the beginning too was cost. I had a lot of scarcity thinking coming up and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I spend money and it doesn't work? Like I had a lot of things around money in general, which we've worked through.
Can I ask you more about scarcity thinking?
That can
be that you're like my favorite because that can be a term. Well, what does that mean with traditional patriarchal structures that we are raised in? Over 90% of the messaging towards women when it comes to finances is saving and couponing. How to make date night happen at home for $3 or something. What the fuck, right? Like, no, putting a tablecloth and candles on my kitchen table and me having to wash the dishes. No, not the same thing of having a nice dinner out away from the kids versus for men, 90% of the messaging that they get is all about investing in themselves, which AKA spending money, what's profitable and like how to have their money make more money. It's a huge reason that statistically men are less risk averse than women when it comes to finances. And so, sorry, I didn't realize I would get so passionate.
No, honestly, I'm on the same soapbox too. I hate it when they're like, just don't buy the latte. They're a millionaire because they didn't buy. I'm like, the math does not work. And how come it's all the quote unquote women or feminine like indulgences that they're like, give up these things so you'll be rich. Like if you didn't spend all your money on these products, then you would be a millionaire.
Well, one, it's shame-based, right? 2, it's the same fucking rhetoric of you need to sacrifice in order to receive. You need to not have certain things. You need to not buy strawberries because apples are cheaper. Rather, instead of like having to make do with less, coming from the place of like, how can I create more for myself? How can I be resourceful and even have a vision, going back to like kids with an allowance, instead of being like, how can I really be happy with the $10? It's like, okay, how could you create $10 more for yourself? So scarcity, I just wanted to bring up scarcity thinking, because if you haven't been coached on money beliefs, the term scarcity thinking might be like, I don't really understand what that is. So for you, what scarcity thinking?
Scarcity thinking showed up in a lot of different ways. And the way it showed up with money was that I was reluctant to spend it. Seeing the high number in my bank account made me feel really safe. And I also felt like I wasn't taught how to use money as like a tool, like you're talking about, to build more money and build wealth. It was kind of like the accumulation, like I've accumulated it and I can't spend it because then it won't come back. Like I have to keep it. It's almost kind of like this hoarding. I'm so scared to let anything go because it might not come back. You know, for lack of a better thing, it's like when you go and you gamble, like, yeah, you put $5 and you might win this, but I for sure won't have my $5. And it's like, I can't spend because I don't know if I'm going to get it back. I don't understand. And just kind of having to hold on to it so tightly because I was worried things wouldn't come back around and it might not be there. And I have to hold it and I need to keep it because what if something happens? What if my car breaks? What if this? And I need to know I have these things. And that's how scarcity used to show up in my money before. It also just showed up scarcity a lot of places in my life. I used to have FOMO so bad that I was missing out on everything. And I realize now that that was scarcity too, thinking that there wasn't enough chances to do things. I live in Washington State and it rains so much, except for the summer, which is beautiful. But any day it wasn't raining, I was freaking out that I was not outside and in that sun. Like, oh my gosh, I am not enjoying the sunshine because there's not enough sunshine. And if I'm not maximizing this day, then I don't know when another day will be. Or if something happened and I couldn't participate, like not knowing there will be other opportunities, just being like, oh, I missed this opportunity. Oh my gosh, there's like just having to try and hold on to everything so tightly. That was where scarcity was for me before. And going through coaching, I've recognized that so much more and I understand it. And being able to move from scarcity to a more abundance mindset has been really freeing for me. I don't feel so much pressure to like hold on to things so tightly. And it allows me to be more in the moment. It lets me let go. It lets me live how I want to live. It lets me also feel more comfortable taking, some risks and trying new things. I'm just not so worried anymore about what's going to happen and what I might lose by doing something new.
That's so common.
Yeah.
And being able to see those parallels. Oh yeah. The way that I'm thinking about money is also the way that I'm thinking about my moments with friends. It's also the way I'm thinking about sunshine. Like it's like, woo, you're sort of able to like see it. It's true. The way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And it's more of like, what is that subconscious belief that we don't even realize that we have is playing out?
Yeah.
In all these other areas of our life. What was it, one moment where it sort of like shifted for you?
I think I had a turning point right before I started coaching with you. I had left a job that I was at for almost 10 years. And I had left that job because I had been unhappy for a long time. And I just felt like, oh, I just need to keep working here because I've put in so much time. It's a great company. And it is so many good things. They do all these wonderful stuff. In the job that I was in, I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling happy. I wasn't enjoying it. And I left that job and felt like I was almost kind of drifting too. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Where's my next step? And then that helped propel me into saying like, okay, yes, I think I need some direction. I need some focus. I need to sign up for this. Somebody else told me that, oh, there's nothing that anybody can do for you that you can't do for yourself. They'd be like, oh, you don't need that. And I was like, yes, I'm the one who's doing the work, but having a guide and someone to help you focus makes all the difference. Yeah, maybe you'll get there eventually, or maybe you won't. Like maybe you just need someone to help you plan the roadmap of where to go or help give you tips and tricks. I can show up in a new location on vacation. Yes, I might find the best places to eat on my own organically, but it's so much more helpful if you have someone saying like, hey, I'd make these recommendations. So I was thinking about that when I was reaching out to hire you. And I was like, having this help will get me there so much faster. I feel that there's a better way. I know there's a better way, but I can't always see it. It's like hidden behind the layers. And I just instinctually know that it's there and it exists, but I just can't access it yet. And I just need someone outside of me to be that voice and that vision to kind of help me get there.
Other people around you not being into it, which can be discouraging a lot of the time when the people around you, people who you love, like opinions you value, are not telling you what you would like for them to,
yeah. I mean, it's always wonderful when everybody around you is like, that's a wonderful idea. And yes, how can I help you reach that? That's all. Of course, that's fantastic. And it makes you feel good. But being able to act without that is really, really helpful and really been a blessing in the journey that I've gotten better at doing throughout coaching. But at the time being like, no, I think there's a better way, and going against it and understanding more that maybe this is what works for me and I'm different from this person. I would say if it feels like the right thing for you, then you just have to really own that and be like, I hear what you're saying. And I understand that this isn't maybe what you want to do, but this is what feels really right to me. I used to also do so much people pleasing and accommodating that I always would crowdsource a lot of my opinions. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Let me ask 50 people.
Exactly. Which is why I was really surprised to hear this as your coach right now, that other people were like, I don't really think you should do that, because we've coached on people pleasing a lot. So yeah.
I did though have one friend who I told about this, and she was like, sure, I'm all about personal development. You go, girl. And she did be the one who helped me. My partner is like, okay, you want to do that, fine. I struggled so hard on making decisions. I asked my partner, James, I go, hey, do you feel like life coaching has helped me at all? And I go, but before you answer, I want you to say that your opinion really doesn't matter, because I've really gotten a lot from it. And he's like, my opinion doesn't matter. And I go, no, I got value from it. And I feel like it's wonderful for me. And I'm really happy with my investment. I was just curious, as an outside opinion, if you had any thoughts on how you've seen any changes in me. And he was like, oh, okay, I get it now. He was like, yeah, I feel like you are much more decisive and you're much more confident in who you are. And I was like, okay, thanks.
So good. Going back to money and investment, it's the first step. Just with the universe in general, when we talk about like synchronicities, you're putting your money where your mouth is. You're saying, okay, I find myself valuable. I'm investing in my future. Most of the rhetoric that we have here in the United States is invest in college and invest in things like a house, a car, a purse, stocks.
Yeah, vacations. It's like you don't have a tangible thing that you're buying.
Yeah. And so you're someone that before you said very wanting to hold on to like everything. So did you take some shots before we talked on the phone? Or I know you didn't.
With this, I just wanted so much to not feel how I felt. And I just knew that there was another way to feel. And I was like, yeah, maybe I could go out and find somebody else. You know, maybe there's other people. Like, these are all real thoughts I have that I haven't shared with you. Like, no, maybe there's other people, but they're not who I want to work with.
I feel like you said that on our consult call. Maybe I can find someone that is cheaper, but that's not really what I want.
Finding the person that works with you and how you feel. And I was, I've listened to the podcast and I was like, I want to work with Courtney. That's what I want to do. What she says is resonating with me. And I just feel like she can help me. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to kind of go. I say I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to do it. And I did. And then I've signed up for another couple of times after that. Investing in myself, though, was always hard in any respect. Investing money was hard, investing time in myself, because I had been trained so often to put myself last. If someone came to me and it's like, you need to spend this much money for your daughter's future, your child's future, I would have been like, okay, yeah. But spending that on me was like, oh, am I worth that? Do I deserve that? Do I need that? I'll probably be fine.
I'll just make do.
Yeah, I can make do. There was a lot of making do. Oh, yeah, this isn't exactly what I want, but I'll make do. Okay, yeah, this is okay. It's fine. You're good.
You
Stop
should be
it.
grateful.
Yes, that thing. You should be grateful with what you have. You have wonderful things. It's like you have all these things. You've made it. Yay. But no, then like the idea, like you just need to find a way to be content. And you just need to find a way to do it. Like this, the pressure. There was a lot of pressure to just be okay. But not really understanding where that pressure was coming from or what was contributing to it. I didn't feel comfortable taking time for myself. We had to coach on me taking 10 minutes a day to do a self-care thing. And that was like, even though 10 minutes, I was like, oh, 10 minutes isn't that long. But the idea of just that I have to take 10 minutes for myself. Oh my gosh, that sounds awful. But also I want to, but how am I going to do that? Can I do that?
Yeah. You have this toddler who wants to be around you 24/7.
Yes. all the time. And me saying no was really difficult for me, just being like, no, I'm not available right now. Or no, I need to recharge myself. Going on this journey and understanding more about who I am and how I work and how my energy is. And I understand now how to move forward. I feel like I've really been given so many tools that will help me all the time. Like we've talked too about how it's like every time you level up, like you refine things. These programmings were really deep and they show up in new ways. And you hit a new level and then it tries to be really sneaky and pops back in. But now I have the tools to recognize it faster and be like, oh, that's your scarcity thinking coming into play here. That's what's happening. And let's pivot and let's change it rather than having to live in that and sit with it. And I am grateful that I can do that now and I can choose how I want to show up in the world.
10 minutes a day, it's not even the actual 10 minutes. It's like closing my office door, not responding right away when my boss texts me at night or you see an email or something like that. And the brain being like, no, we have to do it now. They really need us. They're going to be so upset. And then being able to see, I took 10 minutes for myself. Everything's still alive. The world didn't crash and go down. I'm feeling actually better, more recharged, or even just to be in awe and just be like, oh my gosh, everything's okay.
Yeah. The world didn't die because I didn't respond right away to this and setting some boundaries for myself in my life. How are we saying like people are going to thinking, oh, they're going to feel this way. You know, if I say this, they're going to feel this way. If I tell them no, they're going to have all these feelings. And then I would make it this thing in my head that if I tell them that I can't come to their thing, they're going to be so upset. So I'll just go. But now being like, hey, I'm not going to go or I can't make it. And then they're like, okay. And it's no big deal half the time. I was making that like into this gigantic, horrible awfulness. And they're just like, okay. So really knowing I was the one causing myself a lot of my mental drama. I was making mountains out of molehills and not even realizing it.
Yeah, we have this narrative in our head. It's super dramatic. When we remember what our intent is, your intent is never to cause someone else distress by saying, hey, can't actually make it, or hey, that doesn't work for me. And then when you see that they're just like, oh, okay, get together another time, or oh, we'll miss you.
Most of the time it's nothing. Sometimes it is big to them. And then not getting sucked into the, okay, all right, well, I'll compromise myself to make you happy. And it's a lot of like, okay, I'm prepared that if they do respond this way, this is why I'm coming to you like this. And I value myself. It's not going to work for me. And I know now that if I try to accommodate them, even though I really don't want to, even if I go, it's going to be awful for everybody. I'll bring really grumpy energy, like, oh, gosh, this is the worst. And everyone's going to feel it and no one's going to have a good time. Sometimes people do push back and being stronger now and being like, yeah, I understand that you feel this way. I understand you're really bummed. And being able to give compassion to that, but also staying firm in what's working for me. Yeah, I do understand that you want to talk to me every night at 10:30 p.m. That's not going to work for me because I need to go to bed. It's been really helpful for me to be able to kind of set those boundaries and take my time and interact with the world in a way that's respectful of me and myself.
We're so used to being told what to do, following all of these rules and like how we should be acting, what a good mom does, what a good partner does, what a good friend does, what a good sister. We don't even question, do I agree with that? What's my definition of being a good insert here is, and how we can't even show up and be the best if we don't have that within ourselves first.
Exactly. There was a lot of I should. One thing you did tell me is like, oh, we don't should ourselves. You told me that early on, and I took that and I was like, okay. And I even used that in my daily life. And so I was like, well, I should be doing this. I'm like, no, we don't should ourselves. What do you want to do?
I choose to do. Sometimes people think coaching is just a bunch of advice. It's not like I'm like, okay, here, let me look from CLG's greatest hits and tips to give you. It's reflecting back to you what you want, and also being able to provide a mirror to show you the blind spots, to show you all the other areas. And also as a guide to just be like, that's a dead end. We don't need to.
Yeah. What's really nice is it is personalized in a way that is reflecting. You're like, okay, so what I hear you saying is this. And then when you repeat it back to me, it's like, oh, it's funny how you hear your thoughts mirrored or said, and you're like, oh, it sounds so much different outside of my head.
Yeah.
Like, I can see how that is kind of silly. I love that you always put things in these like metaphors that really drive it home to me. Like it makes sense. You're like, the way you're thinking about this is exactly like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's silly. That makes sense. That's resonating with me. And I love it. It's always like a new way of thinking of things like, okay, well, this is it. This is the way. And this is the only way. And you're like, well, have you ever thought about it that maybe it's like this? And I'm like, oh, maybe, yeah. There's sometimes when you give me an idea, I always know when it's a real truth I need to hear, when I'm really resistant towards it. I'm like, no, I don't want to think that. No, I don't like that one. But then I always like, okay, that probably means think about this and come back to it some more. You probably don't remember some of these metaphors, but one of the ones you gave to me that I always really loved was like cake, and how it's okay to not have people like things and you can still be okay. Like some people don't like chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake, but the cake is the cake, and the cake has value in of itself. And just because somebody doesn't like that thing does not change your relationship with the chocolate cake and the value the cake has. Now going in my life, oh, I hate that. I'm like, oh, well, that's okay because I love it. This is exactly like chocolate cake. And I'm sorry if you don't want the cake, but I still love this cake and I'm going to eat this cake. Things like that really make sense and explain the way it's like, oh, okay, I get what we're saying. I understand how this thought maybe even isn't true. There's a lot of the thoughts that are not true that have just been thought so long that it feels true and it's not.
Or we don't want it to be true anymore.
No, I don't want it to be true. Patterns where sometimes you're in it so much I can't always see it. And I'm like, this is what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, hey, this is the same kind of pattern showing up as, because I said how we do one thing is how we do everything. So sometimes I'll be like talking about my personal relationships, and the next week I'll be talking about work. And that's been beneficial for me, like having that broader scope of coaching, because the same things show up in different ways, and being able to address it in different ways helps me recognize it in other areas. And gosh, it's just I'm almost starting to get emotional as I think about things, recognizing how patterns and behaviors in my life and having you direct me has just made all the difference. Therapy was great and it was helpful, but it never truly changed a lot for me. I was never able to make real lasting changes. I would understand what I was doing, but I wasn't changing things, or I didn't know how to change things or what to do.
How you feel about things too.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking, or this is what I'm doing. And just that question sometimes, so much of today, I don't even know if we want to call it today's society. I can't think of the word right now. It's just basically like do. It's like from the neck up. It's very mental. Mm-hmm. But we're not always thinking about how do I feel when I'm thinking this, or when I'm doing this, or when I'm approaching this relationship this way. And it's like, oh, I'm actually feeling resentful or I'm feeling icky. We just think this is the way that we have to think about this situation or this person, or this, maybe it's a fuck up that you did. We don't even see that, like, oh, this thought is poison. Like, it's just, yeah, or this feeling or this belief, like it's not even necessarily something that's conscious. But then once we can go back into, wait, how am I feeling?
They used to have such a disconnect between my thoughts and the rest of me. Like the neck up, this is how I was thinking, and shut down how I was feeling. Like just push through, power through. Make it happen. Lots of times I'll be talking to you and I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. And you'll be like, I'm sensing a little bit of resentment here. And I'd be like, no. Oh, yeah. I think there might be some underneath there. Picking up on that and just really being like, oh, how am I feeling? Checking in with my body, really understanding that your body doesn't lie to you. Like your mind can lie to you and talk you into anything, but your body's doesn't lie to you, and feeling where that is and being like, oh, how am I feeling? Like sitting with that is something I'm still working on, learning, because I've been taught for so many years to ignore my body and just use your mind to process things. And that's not how I feel like with how I'm set up. I'm supposed to check in with all of me and say, like, is this actually right for me? Versus just, let me just talk myself into it. Things would come up and be like, oh, I don't know if that's really right for me. Oh, maybe not. But my brain would say, no, you should do this for all these reasons. That magazine article gave you 10 reasons why this is going to change your life. You just have to do it. I forced myself to do a bunch of things that didn't feel right, that I wasn't checking in. And if I had just checked in with me, I'd be like, no, that's not right for me. It's also interesting. Like as we have gone through this work, I've felt it in different parts of my body. Like my arm's really hurting this week. And it's weird, but it's clearing out feelings and emotions that are stored in there. For the longest time, I had a weight on my chest, like right in the center, like right kind of heaviness. And I couldn't take a full deep breath for a long time. I just felt this like icky feeling there. But before I would always just ignore it. And now I've been able to work through it a lot, and I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel that blockage in my body. Learning to feeling connected with your body, we're not taught to do it. And we're not taught to trust our body. And especially as women, I think it's shameful. I grew up too in some organized religion where it's like your body is almost sinful, where it's like, no, you can't trust the temptations of the flesh. So trusting my body and really like connecting with my body has been a really incredible, interesting journey too. And it's something that I don't think I would have been able to do without help and support and knowing that's okay.
Yeah. And being able to reframe the way that we look. Like you can be doing this when we've coached on that. It's like, you can be taking the same actions of like, I'm going to go for a run or I'm going to go do yoga, but it makes such a difference when you're doing it, like, because I fucking hate my body. And I think that it's gross to look at in the mirror. These are not Margot's thoughts, by the way. These are all straight from CLG. Like, I just need to lose 15 pounds versus being like, oh, hey, like this is my vessel and I want to be strong. I want to have vitality for the future. I want to be able to run without being winded. It's coming from a very when the feelings and the beliefs behind it are from an empowering place versus a disempowering place, especially as women when it comes to our body. Most of the narrative is about it needs to look this way. If it doesn't look this way, there's something wrong with you. It just continues the objectification of women because we've been immersed in that culture so long. We don't realize that we unintentionally do that to ourselves.
Yeah, I think we take in a lot of the external messaging and we play it back in our heads. But when it comes back in your head, it sounds like it's coming from your own voice. And then you feel like it's coming from you, even though it's not. It's coming from some outside source. All you have to do is just go to the grocery store and walk down the aisle. You see it. It's all over the place. Recognizing that external messaging when it comes in now, and I can now filter it much better and be like, oh, this is external messaging and I'm not going to subscribe to this. Before, I felt like my brain would just auto subscribe to everything that came in. And I was like, oh yeah, let's just follow every messaging that comes in and let's just take it on. And now I'm much more able to filter that as it comes in and be like, nope, yep, nope, nope, nope. What's additive and adding to my support and what's detracting. And, work on things like I have a body that works and my body feeds me before I could ever come to, oh, I'm amazing. I had to start off with kind of middle ground thoughts.
Right?
Exactly.
Getting to a neutral place and also being okay with when it's not neutral. We don't fucking lie to ourselves. That's like one of the rules, right?
Yeah.
Like no, I don't like it. No, this is how I feel about it. And having like compassion for ourselves. And this is the way I feel about this.
Yeah.
Do I want to feel this way? No, but this is where I'm at right now. And then also being like, why might I feel this way? Oh, because like all the messaging I've received about my body is how it's wrong and it's something to be ashamed of and I can't trust it. So no wonder we have a little bit of an adversarial relationship right now. It helps put things in context because the brain, it loves to be like, well, you should feel this way, or why do I feel this way? We make ourselves wrong for being wrong, where it's like, let's not feel shitty about feeling shitty.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of that. I feel crappy and I know I'm not supposed to feel this way. And then you feel even more crappy and you're like, oh.
And I'm still feeling this way. You can see it when you're self-aware. And you're like, I'm feeling crappy and I shouldn't feel crappy. And because I feel crappy,
I
I'm
shouldn't feel
crappy.
like shit. And all I do is feel like shit. And I thought I'm so much better but recognize it's okay to feel shitty sometimes.
You're a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Margot, you are the client. We were talking about brain logic and how our brain lies. You use the example of your daughter and pizza. Are we going to have pizza? Because in her mind...
Oh, yeah. It was like the last 2 weeks we had pizza on Sundays. It just happened that it was 2 Sundays in a row. And then the third, she's like, are we going to have pizza tonight? And I was like, no, why would we be having pizza? I'm actually cooking. And she's like, it's Sunday. And I was like, oh, I see where you got that. How you got from point A to point B. It's not right, but I get it. I love kid logic. I do feel like our brain does give us kid logic. Being able to recognize that and be like, oh, and show compassion. Oh gosh, compassion towards yourself. That's always fun.
You can't see Margot's face right now. Yeah.
Showing yourself the same compassion that you show to others. It was tough for me to learn that one. I would be so understanding to everybody else, but not to myself. Everybody else is allowed to make a mistake. I'm not allowed to make a mistake. So if I did a kid logic thing, I'd be like, how could you do that? You were so stupid. Why would you think that way? Why would you do that? That's so dumb. But if somebody else made a mistake, I'd be like, oh, it's no big deal, for sure. Yeah, I got you. I'll help you fix that. But I couldn't give that same compassion to myself. I couldn't turn it internally. It was all focused externally.
How did you change that?
Working with you a lot to actively practice compassion towards myself. You would remind me a lot. You're not showing yourself compassion. And I'm like, okay.
Show you how you work. Because one of your brain's favorite things, it's fine. It's fine. Instead of being like, okay, well, if someone else came to you, you're like, oh no, I would tell them this. Oh yeah. No, of course not. Oh, okay. How can we show that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if your friend blew the fuse in the kitchen for the second time because they forgot that you can't run the microwave at the same time as the toaster oven, at the same time as the kettle, would you be telling them that they're the stupid freaking bitch? And how dare they do that? No, it'd be like, oh, it's no big deal. We'll just go flip the switch. It happens. You just can't run these things together. Actively trying to flip it. What would I tell somebody else? How can I tell that to myself? Where it was trouble is you tell myself this, but I wouldn't always believe it. You can tell yourself to everything, but unless you really truly believe it and work on it, that's where the real growth comes, is when you believe what you tell yourself. You believe that it's actually okay for you to make mistakes. Because, and that's the difference between, I think, just like a bunch of pretty words. I'm wonderful. You can say whatever you want, but unless you truly believe it, it doesn't do much for you. And this process has really helped me to believe it, because it's taught me to internalize messages and to feel it throughout my body, throughout my whole experience. So I can believe the messages that I tell myself. I can believe the self-compassion I show myself.
I love that you said that it's a practice, because being a beginner is something a lot of us, we've like done some things in our life and have proficiencies in a lot of areas. Being a beginner, our brain's like, fuck no, I don't want to do that. If I'm not really good at it, I don't want to do it. And when we do it the first time and it doesn't work or it doesn't feel good, I think a lot of the time, self-compassion sounds really nice, sounds really lovely. When you do it the first couple of times, it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's like uncomfortable is a good word, because it is uncomfortable. And sometimes it's hard. It was hard to be in that beginner stage. It was hard to be okay at not being perfect. It's hard to be vulnerable and also to receive feedback on being a beginner, especially if you're trying things at work, you're doing something new, you are going to get some feedback that's, helping you get corrections in a way like, hey, thank you for doing this new thing. It needs to be a little bit more like this. And recognizing that feedback is there to help me grow, but it doesn't mean anything about me. The feedback about the thing is separate from who I am. And it's okay to try this new thing and be uncomfortable. And sometimes the feedback's coming internally. Most of the time it's coming from yourself, that you're doing a bad job or it's not what you wanted. But as we've talked about beginning and trying new things and looking in advance to me, like when I try this, I will probably feel this way. This is probably what's going to come up based on the past. This is what I'm expecting to have happen. And then being ready for it when it does, then it's like, okay, nothing's abnormal here. This is exactly what it's supposed to go. I'm exactly supposed to feel this way. You start a new workout routine, you expect to feel sore. You can't just expect that you have muscles where you don't. So being patient, being like, yep, nothing's wrong. Nothing's broken. This is exactly how it's supposed to go. I'm supposed to feel this way. It's supposed to happen this way.
This is the part where my brain freaks out, right? Or this is the part where I have all these thoughts. This is the part where I question everything. And then looking at the meaning that we give things, because self-concept is just the paramount of everything that we do. And for the most part, we've been taught our self-concept is entirely dependent outside of us, right? It's the approval that we get of other people. It's what our job title is. It's how much money is our bank account. It's like, well, what I think about myself, that doesn't really matter. What matters is what everyone else thinks about me or perceives about me. What you so brilliantly demonstrated was, okay, my boss gave me this feedback, and being able to see it as like, this is my boss's feedback on what I'm doing at work. The meaning that you're giving that is not the face tattoo of who you are. And you get to decide what you want to do with that feedback, the meaning that you're going to give it, instead of judging everything, for you to be able to be more discerning on what that is. And it's not that black and white thinking of like, oh my God, my boss told me this, I'm a piece of shit. Or going the other way where brains are just like, well, fuck you. You don't know me.
Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Even focusing on like the negativity you can get. 9 glowing, outstanding things. And 1, not even bad, but just kind of like, oh, we could maybe see a little bit of thing in here. And all you focus in on is that one thing that's like, oh my God, they think I'm terrible. They think I'm awful. And then walking away and then feeling like I'm terrible. I'm awful. Somehow they think this becomes I'm this. That's how it used to be for me. I can now objectively look and be like, oh, this is who I am. This is their thoughts. Oh yeah, I can choose to take that or leave it. Be like, okay, I understand what they're asking for me. And yeah, maybe it's valid, maybe it's not. And do I choose to incorporate that feedback? Going back to how you give me analogies that make sense to me. I like to bake. And when you say like, well, yeah, like somebody could give you a recipe and they're like, well, I really feel like you should put more chocolate chips in these cookies. And I can be like, well, I like these cookies with this amount of chocolate chips. So this is the cookie I'm going to make for you. Or I can be like, yeah, maybe it would be better with some more chocolate chips, but I am still who I am, separate from the cookies. And if they like what I make, that's great. And if they don't, I like them. Recognizing, feedback, trying new things. It's what the messaging we're taking in, to actively seek out people who are also trying and also working on new things. When other people can show you they're making mistakes, it's like, yes, it's okay for me too. Just the examples you see and you put help form your thoughts and your opinions. Throughout the process, I've been like, what am I consuming? Like, what is coming in? Like how I said before, I just subscribe to everything. Now I'm like, well, what am I subscribing to? What is coming in? What's filling me up? And what's becoming my internal messaging and program? And having just so much more control of that internal monologue is really, really awesome.
That's it for part 1. Part 2, oh, if you thought this was juicy, just you wait for part 2. So good. And if you are ready for change, if you're nodding your head yes, listen closely because I might have the solution you've been searching for. My Perfectionism Rewired Accelerator, a 6-week, highly individualized one-on-one coaching experience designed exclusively for perfectionists like you. Your perfectionism is actually your greatest asset, and leveraging it can be hard work or take years of guesswork. That's why in Perfectionism Rewired Accelerator, I give you my key frameworks to taking charge of your Ferrari drive, proven to work even for the most type A, high-strung, stubborn perfectionists. In the first 30 days, you will cut your burnout in half, increase your professional fulfillment by at least 150%, and your self-compassion will go up at least 250%. And that is just your first 30 days. So if you want to save yourself years of trial and error, go to CourtneyLoveGavin.com/accelerator today. Or if you want to take the easy way, just click the link in the show notes to check out the Perfectionism Rewired Accelerator.